And now, Escaping the Drift, the show designed to get you from where you are to where you want to be. I'm John Gafford, and I have a knack for getting extraordinary achievers to drop their secrets to help you on a path to greatness. So stop drifting along, escape the drift, and it's time to start right now. Back again for another episode. The show that gets you from where you're at, man, to where you want to be. And today, I got a monster show. And when I mean monster, I mean this dude's a monster. He came walking in here and I was like, holy shit, this dude's ginormous. And I'm like 6'5", 227. And this dude made me feel a little helpless. I'm not going to lie. But it's not just the physical attributes that the guy brings to the table today. It's a wealth of knowledge in the personal training, coaching, business acumen, podcast space. He is the host of the Wolves Only podcast. He is the CEO of JWX. Guys, we're lucky to have him in studio today. This is Justin Wenzel. Justin.
I don't know about all that, but thank you.
Man, dude.
Thank you,
Listen, man, I pride myself on one thing, which is I have the best intros in the business.
That was fantastic. Can we run it again?
Yeah, no, that's my best thing. That is what I pride myself in. So, dude, you're a guy that's found great success in that coaching space, sales space. And one of the things that I saw doing a little bit of research on you, and we're going to get into this deep later, but I just want to gloss this, which is what I said, what something you said on an Instagram post, which was, I'm sick of being called a mindset coach.
Oof.
Because I'm not a mindset coach. I'm a tell you what to do coach. And I love that. I thought that was so unique.
It was simply said because that's not what I meant. I meant to say application coach, but I just tripped over my words and I was like, fuck it, this is what I'm going to go.
Dude,
am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, dude, do what you want. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Do what you want.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's true. I'm a little over the concept of just mindset coaching. Of course, mindset's necessary, right? But if that's what you need, you'll get that from me.
But when's the last time? Because you go to a lot of events, you got all this stuff just like me, right? A lot of different places. When's the last time you saw a mindset coach get on stage and say something that you were like, oh my God.
It's brand new.
I've never heard that. It's so profound.
It's very rare.
Jesus.
And I think it could be delivered from several different people, several different ways, but it's the same thing. And you may resonate with somebody. So it is important to have a vast array of people who are saying discipline over motivation or whatever, get up and do the work and, perform, whatever. That's great. But here's what happens. Today, actually, Brian Mark said 50% of you guys are going to take what you heard and actually do it, and 50% of you won't.
50? That's a generous number.
Correct. The answer is probably 5%.
Yeah.
Right? So you have all these mindset coaches that are preaching mindset, and it's great. You need it. But how do you apply it? And what are the actual tools and resources that you need to track KPIs?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the key things you just said though is frequency. And I think finding somebody that you tune into and everybody resonates on a frequency. And it's funny, man, because when people are coming in here, I'm never going to do a show with somebody cold where I'm like, oh, hi, how are you? What do you do? Tell me about your life. I kind of have a working knowledge of you when you walk in the door.
I appreciate that.
And everybody has that frequency. And you, my brother, and look, I don't pigeonhole anybody, right? I try not to label anybody. There's a section of my book about labels are bad, but you are like the perfect, if I could snap together what my wife would call the entrepreneur, which is a compliment. Please don't take that negatively, right? That is that mold. I felt like just watching some of your stuff. I'm like, okay, dude, I gotta, if I could snap off this part of Cody Sperber, I'm gonna snap in this part of what Brad does. I'm gonna snap this together. You're kind of that ultimate entrepreneur, and I dig that about you.
All right, well, thank you.
Yeah, that's a compliment. So let's go from where we started out is we're going to go the ultimate entrepreneur. That's what we're going with today. Because
I love it. Yeah,
I think that's it, right?
Great title for the show.
It is. So how do we start out from where we are? Tell me about growing up. You grew up in Michigan, correct?
Yep, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Grand Rapids.
Yep.
The Van Andel Arena.
Actually, it's funny. I grew up in Ada.
How old are you?
I'm 37 now.
Okay, I'll tell you a funny story. In another life from me, I was an operations director for Hooters of America.
Oh, wow.
So at one point in my life, I was over the Hooters in Muskegon and the Hooters in Grand Rapids.
Right on 28th Street, right there.
And I'm going to
next to the tire shop, right?
and I'm going to tell you, but I also had stores in Detroit. So I was driving back and forth. So here I am, a Florida guy, never lived in snow, driving back and forth from Muskegon to Detroit in the middle of winter. And I'm going to tell you how I know you're a hard son bitch. I'm going to tell you how I know. Because normally when I bounced all over the country with that company, when I would leave a place, I'd say, to the girls, the staff, I'd be like, guys, I'm going to come back and see you. When I left Detroit, I looked at them and I said, you will never see me again.
I think that's how most people in Detroit feel if they have an opportunity to leave.
Based strictly on the weather, just strictly the weather. When you get that wet, see the lake effect snow thing that's over there and you're at Ada, so you're kind of in the sticks a little bit.
Right.
So you grew up there, obviously hard because literally the sun goes away in August and doesn't show back up until June, maybe. I don't know. It's wild. Grew up there.
So I was born in Grand Rapids, moved to Maine. Dad was a car guy young. My parents had me super young in their teens.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was a car salesman, shitty car salesman. And but the dealer loved him, gave him an opportunity in finance.
Well, okay, stop. What made Dad a shitty car salesman?
I don't know. Honestly, looking at it now, I can kind of see why he wasn't a great car salesman, but he was really good in finance.
So put him in the box.
Put him in the box.
The box.
And
that's where the money's made anyway.
And you said pigeonholed earlier. Typically, that's where a lot of people do get pigeonholed in the auto industry, is they get pigeonholed in the finance box, and then they get fat, complacent, and stuck. And that's very common. But there was a situation where the dealer at the time, this was a massive Chevy store on 28th Street, just up the street from that Hooters you were talking about, where he wanted him to go on a 20 group meeting. So General Motors used to take 20 dealers, so to speak, from similar market share. And they'd go on like a vacation. Wives would go do some stuff, and then they would be in meetings, pitching marketing ideas, advertising campaigns, things like that. He met a dealer named Phil Gemmer, who owned a massive Chevy store, the first Chevy store in New England, in Portland, Maine. And the guy fell in love with him. I was like, I want you to come and be my GM. And eventually I'd like you to buy me out. And he's like, I don't have any fucking money. Like, how am I going to buy out a huge Chevy store? But he took a risk and piled my mom. My brother was a newborn baby, and piled us in our old Cadillac. And literally the Beverly Hillbillies came out to Portland, Maine. Culture shock city.
How old were you when this happened?
I was like 5.
Okay, cool. So
5 or 6, yeah.
So that's good though, because at 5, you're still just walking up to kids on the first day of school. Do you want to be my friend? Sure.
Yeah.
Buddies, right?
As a matter of fact, it's funny. My dad always tells this story. When I was, I made sure my bike was packed on the truck last, so it came off first.
Yeah.
And then I went door to door.
That's it.
You got any 5-year-old kids that I can hang out with? I say it now, I sound like a pervert, but back then I'm like,
they can't do that now.
Can't do that anymore.
Not a good move.
But yeah, it's funny. I was just started networking really young. But anyways, eventually he bought his first Chevy store. He was like 22 years old.
Wow.
Yep.
So
youngest
he owned a Chevy dealer at 22.
Yeah. Youngest ever self-made dealer in the history of General Motors.
Wow. What a great role model.
Yep.
Great role model.
Obviously worked a lot. So, but he always took me into the stores and things like that. Bought out a ton of stores from Connecticut all the way up to Maine, sold out of them at like 34, 35 years old, retired.
Wow, that's awesome.
And
good for Dad. Good job.
Great guy. And we were moving back to, we were moving to Florida, and GM threw a couple deals at him. We're like, we don't want you retired yet. You're a hungry dealer. You're really good at what you do. And a bunch of deals fell through. And then out of nowhere, they were like, how about a Pontiac GMC store on 28th Street in Grand Rapids, right next door to the Chevy store you started at.
So moving back.
So, yep. Took over that store. That was, we signed on that store 9/11, 2001.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. Planes hit the towers and everything went to shit.
Yeah,
remember?
shit
Oil prices went up, everything. He said, we're going to go $9.95 oil change, retail for your trade. Back then, nowadays, retail for your trade is very common.
Yeah.
But back then that was unheard of. $9.95 oil changes right as we're about to go into a war. Todd Wenzel's going to bankrupt the dealership in his first year. Everyone's laughing at him. All we were doing was collecting emails.
Yeah. Building a database.
Yep.
So where did you start? So how old were you? Obviously, Dad's got a place you can work when you're.
Yeah. So I had to start washing cars,
Okay.
Parts driver.
Started in the detail shop. Then you're a runner.
Yep. Then I was a parts runner, counterman, service writer, sales for a little bit. Then I went to college for automotive marketing.
So you learned the entire business though. You got to see the whole thing.
Yep.
So I'm going to ask you this because, and I swear by this, and I have a personal story with this. Do you think that there's any better sales training than there is in a car lot?
No.
There's just not, right?
No, you're definitely gonna learn how to handle rejection. That's for sure, and that's what I mean. Really, honestly, the best salespeople are the ones who can handle rejection, right? And they don't get deflated.
What's your favorite story from selling cars?
So I've had a number of things, but I'll tell you this one. It involves actually a story about my dad, and my family. I was general sales manager or something like that at the time. And one of my sales guys was terrified of me, but he was like, "Hey, I got these folks that are buying 2 Yukon Denali's from us." He's like, "Will you come out and they have a story or something they want to tell you?" I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, yeah, I'll go out there and meet them. And back then I was heavy in my drug use. So like I was probably hungover, probably, just fucked up so I was like, whatever. Yeah, I'll come out. So I come out, I sit down there like, "Hey, we just bought a bar in northern Michigan called the Fremont Inn. And we're curious, does your father have anything to do with the Fremont Inn?" I go, "I've never heard of it before. I have no idea." They're like, "Well, it's interesting because we were tearing it down, like, putting, repainting the walls. We were tearing some wallpaper out of the bathroom. And in the bathroom stall, there was a graffiti. And it said, Todd Wenzel, bad dude, 19, whatever, Todd Wenzel, bad dude." So I'm like, "Is my dad bad dude?" So, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
And
we're like we don't have the ratings Rogan has, but we're freeform, baby. We're real. I'm editing that out. It's phone right. It's life, baby. That's
like we do the same thing. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I need to know, because like I was looking at the handwriting, and it, like, my dad's got really eclectic handwriting, but some of it's, uppercase, lowercase, things like that. I'm like, it's kind of like his 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old. I think he would have been about 7 years old per the date that was on the graffiti. Yeah. So I called him. I'm like, "Hey, what do you know about the Fremont Inn?" He's like, "I don't fucking know what you're talking about, Justin. Go back to work." And he hangs up on me. I'm like, fair enough. That's probably a normal answer.
Yeah.
But it still didn't sit with me. So I decided to call my mom. My parents are divorced, but I call my mom and I'm like, "Yo, Mom, does Dad have anything to do with the Fremont Inn?" She goes, "Absolutely. Your grandpa owned it." And I was like, so my dad's bad dude, And so as it started to like resonate with me, and I'm like, why would he just tell me no? And my mom starts to explain. She's like, your grandpa was a severe alcoholic, and he used to take your dad up there and make him sit while he drank with his buddies. And then he would make your dad drive him home. 7, 8 years old, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. And it really started to make me think about and really value my childhood, and because I remember everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I had a great childhood. So it's strange that I ended up the way that I did earlier on. But for like some people, man, like they go through so much shit in life, and then all of a sudden it's like they don't remember anything about their childhood. They block things out, and like that's a big deal.
Oh, it's still that trauma's still there somewhere. They're just
probably
down deep, affecting every relationship they have.
When you're in the auto industry at the capacity that we are, and we're massive, 5 massive stores. Our name's everywhere, so it's like always, like in Michigan, it's like constant, like the local car dealer like hires everybody's somewhat related to somebody who works there, and things like that. So when your name's on a sign, it's like, this kind of stuff happens a lot. But that was one interesting one that I just really appreciate from the auto industry.
Dude, it's Vegas is the smallest town in the world. People think Vegas is such a huge place. It is tiny.
Right.
Last night I was telling you before we went on that I took my daughter, I drove our Sprinter van, which is one of my favorite things to do, is our jet Sprinter, to be the chauffeur for my kids when they have a dance. My son is aged out of that. He's like, yeah, you ain't going with us anymore. But
yeah,
my daughter is, in 8th grade. So we piled 10 of her little girlfriends in there in their little dresses and took them. But, last night we went over, and one of her girlfriends, I met her dad last night. I'm standing there, and I was like, hey, and we're talking about, nothing. We're talking about, he said he's going to watch Doom 2. And I was like, oh, I heard that was good. And I was like, oh, dude, did you just watch Fallout yet? He's like, yeah, it was great. And we're talking about that. I'm like, this. And it was like, got back in the car, told my wife, I'm like, oh, that guy was pretty cool. He was a super nice guy and whatever else. And this morning I'm, sitting there waking up, and I'm going through Instagram, checking stuff. And I see a picture of him and his daughter from last night come up on my feed. I'm like, huh? And I look at it, and this dude owns a home inspection company. And he like,
oh, really?
And he like hit me up like 2 years ago wanting to be a preferred vendor here. And like, I didn't even like respond. I was just like, fuck. So I literally was like, from a DM from 2 years ago, I was like, hey man, nice to see you last night. I'd love to help you build your business. Hit me up later today and let me know what I can do to get
right
you
on.
Right? I was like, let me take care of you, because I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, the whole time you guys are talking, he's probably like, that motherfucker.
He's like, yeah, it's fucking. Well, you know what? That's why I was going, nice to see you. Yeah. I stopped saying that unless I know for sure. Like when you walked in today, I said, nice to meet you, because I know I'd never met you before.
Right.
But in this town, it's always nice to see you.
That's a good move. I'm actually going to take that now.
Yeah. Great to see you, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me. I learned that one the hard way. We had our Christmas party one time and we have 580 agents that work here for us. And then you've got, the mortgage company and the title company, all those people. It's a lot of people. And like my biggest stressor of the year is our holiday party, because I'm like, fuck, all these people know who I am, and I got to know who they are. So I start studying like in November, because we have our website, and I just start looking at names and faces to make sure that I want people to feel special when they interact with me at this party.
Right.
And this is maybe 6 years ago. We're having our party 7 years ago. It was at the Palms, right when they just got done with the remodel, and we're upstairs on one of the big, whatever restaurant it was, which was Playboy Club. They flipped into something else. And we're doing our party there, and it's late in the night, and this girl walks in that was friends with one of my buddies that works here. And I saw her walk in late, and I was like, oh man, she must have been in the casino. And he said, we're upstairs at a party, come up. And then here she is. So I'm like, hey, good to see you. Thank God you're here. And she's with this guy. And I'm like, oh, cool. So, how do you know her? And he's like, oh, we've been dating for like 2 months. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Well, man, dumb luck that, she knew Scott, and that's why you guys came up and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I've worked for you for 2 years.
Oh my God.
I was like, I just want to crawl under the desk and it's so painful.
But you know what? That says a lot though, as a business owner and an employer, if it didn't faze you, if you didn't have that type of level of empathy and care, then it would be you should really feel like shit.
Yeah. From that point, it became nice to see you to everybody, because you never know. All right. So you go to school for automotive retail and marketing. Where was this?
Northwood University.
Which is where?
Midland, Michigan.
Okay. It's got to be, it's got to be in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be in Michigan.
Yep. That's actually where NADA is.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. I'm thinking there's no way there's not the best college for this is not located in Michigan.
Yeah. And that's where all the deal, like you can imagine.
What was college like?
It's fun, man. A lot of like-minded people, a lot of, kids in my situation that, were, going in to take over their family stores. And it was really great. As a matter of fact, so I always played music. I was in like punk rock bands and stuff, like in, metal bands, all the way through high school. I play guitar and everything, but I was usually a vocalist or guitarist.
Right on. We've had Tommy Vext on the show.
I know Tommy.
Tommy's been on the show.
I was just talking to him the other day.
Yeah. Tommy's been on the show before.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah. He was Bad Wolves, but I really like his self-titled band now.
Yeah.
I met him through Jay Ferrugio, actually, who's a client of mine.
I don't know Jay.
Jay has a Renegade podcast, Renegade Radio, and Jay Ferrugio show. He's great. He does a lot of stuff with WWE superstars, things like that.
Very cool.
Yeah, great dude.
Yeah.
I love Tommy. He's awesome. He's fucking hilarious, man. So in college, I actually had a kind of like hardcore punk rock, but it was a fun party rock band,
Yeah.
And so that was like kind of most of my college career was like we had a house. Actually, I bought a house in college. Okay. GMAC was like, they would loan money to anybody that, back then, you can get
GMAC.
Right. So I had a badass house. It was a Dow house. If you know about Dow Chemical, like
I know Dow Chemical.
Yeah. So one of the weird, it was like the weird cousin or son or whatever. He was like a architect, like a residential architect.
Okay.
And he made these really odd houses, but they were kind of cool. Well, I had one. It was a cool little house. And we had an unfinished basement. So we completely decked this thing out. Full, stage, everything. So we would throw like concerts there, massive parties. So it was kind of like the go-to house.
Well, let's stop, because that's not something a lot of college kids do, is buy a house. So Is this were you working while you're going to school, or you
no, I had a qualified co-signer.
You had a qualified co-signer. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, hang on, because I don't hate it, because like my kids are getting ready to go to school too. And I'm like, I'm going to do the first semester in the dorm, second semester in fraternity house, and then we're buying a house, and he can bring roommates, and the roommates will pay for the whole thing. Because
similar situation. I wasn't in a fraternity, but I was a punk rocker. It wasn't.
Yeah, dude, that's a fraternity its own, my friend.
Yeah.
that is a fraternity its own that never dies, because let's just see. One of us is covered with tattoos. Tell him he's a guitar player. And one of us in this room has seen The Exploited, Dag Nasty, Circle Jerks, Dead Kennedys. Just name it off.
That's awesome.
Oh, dude, when I was in high school, from the time I was like 12 to 18, I was on a skateboard every single day.
Let's go. And
I was at punk rock shows, the American Legion in Gainesville, Florida.
All right.
Tallahassee every weekend. And I got to, and this isn't like mid 80s, I got like the highlight of the punk rock scene.
That's awesome.
Which was awesome. So I saw it.
Cool. I'm actually, I became friends with Clint from DI.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. He lives in Huntington, and obviously being in Huntington, it's like I'm around all of them. I see Mike Ness like walking around Main Street. And,
dude, you know what's funny about Mike Ness? Well, you know, I'll tell you I don't have a Mike Ness story. But
also real quick, he's the only person I get a little bit of like starstruck with.
Is it?
Yeah, because it was like the amount, like how many times I've like been in a tattoo shop, and like, just like that was. You walk into any tattoo shop anywhere, you're going to have either Rancid or Social Distortion playing. Like, it doesn't matter which one you walk into. So it was like how many tattoos I got, and then started watching them, going to see them, and like just like became some of my best friends are like the singers of like my favorite bands ever. But for some reason, when I see Mike Ness, I'm like, dude, this guy is just history.
Well, dude, for me, like a good friend of mine, John Isbell, was the manager for Social Distortion.
Okay.
So I've been in Social D forever, right? And I love Mike Ness. I love Social D. I love all of that shit. But then I looked back at a period of my time when I wasn't having a lot of success in life, and I was listening to a lot like Social D and shit. And then you go back and you're like, fucking sitting here in the Chevrolet wasting away. It's just like, it's the most defeatist.
It is defeating.
And but I firmly believe like it almost becomes like a mantra. Like
that could be
like what you feed I'm so big on, like, obviously you're big on what goes in your mouth matters. I'm really big on what goes in my head matters.
Sure.
And now even today, outside of maybe like Reach for the Sky or some of that stuff that came off some of the later records, but the early stuff, man, is just so like,
I can actually see that.
Mike, I just want to give you a hug, brother.
Yeah. Well, it's not a surprise that, he's in recovery and just like me, and we go into similar rooms. But yeah, I've definitely noticed that like the punk rock and hardcore stuff that I've really gotten more into is like championing perseverance and overcoming, and I've definitely gone more into like that, like real clean hardcore, like just guys that are jacked, right? They're like, very disciplined. So yeah, I can definitely see where that would change, and I can definitely see why Social D would be very defeating and
it's so hard.
It's bad.
But you love it.
But I love it.
You love it.
I love it.
I look at it kind of like this. Like you used to do drugs and drink. You don't do that anymore. You live a clean lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
You probably look back very fondly.
Well, now that you mentioned that,
you look back very fondly on it, but you're still not going to do it.
Yeah, Bill, thanks. Hey, John, thanks for ruining that for me. I appreciate it.
Look, I'm not trying to compare Mike Ness to having a drinking problem. Maybe I am. I don't know.
No, that's Dead Kennedys.
That is. Okay, agreed. Holiday in Cambodia, probably that record. People are just finding like, what the fuck are these guys talking about?
Is this supposed to be about like real estate?
This is kind of off the rails. No, but the point is, I think that you can love something and still limit it eliminate it and understand it's not probably good for you.
Right. No, yeah, no, I definitely think, but that by that logic though, you also got to consider like the terrible things that people blame music on, like Marilyn Manson and stuff like that, that it's like, that's a slippery slope to start basing entire mindsets and actions upon music. You know what I mean?
I agree. I will, however, say I'm somebody that beats the gong, and people look at me, and this is my conspiracy theory, right?
All right, bring it.
I do think that the violent fucking video games are why kids go shoot up schools.
Do you?
1,000%, man. I think with the hyper realism of some of these games now, they become so desensitized to hyper violence. They just don't see it.
Interesting.
Is what it is. Why did this shit never happen? Like, dude, because I can remember going to high school when I was a kid, right? In the late 80s, I graduated in 1990. Like, where I started in school was North Florida. So it was like Baja, Georgia, rednecky as it gets, right?
Yeah.
And dudes would come to school with shotguns in the rack of the back of their truck because they were going hunting. Mm-hmm. And nobody ever said a word about it. Like, nobody thought twice about it. Like, you could literally come to school with a gun and nobody thought anything.
I think a lot of, like, you know, there could be a level of how people romanticize like that action and that action.
Yeah.
I guess that's really all you can say. But I do think that the stakes are a lot higher when it comes to how psychological it, like, being a kid nowadays is compared to like back in the day. Like, it was like rub dirt on it, like go get in a fight.
Yeah.
You know, don't get caught, you know. You know, but now it's so brutal. I actually saw some text messages that my son got from some kid that's like a bully of his, and it was like the shit that that kid was saying to my son was like, I wouldn't even think to say that, and I know how to undress a motherfucker.
Yeah. Right?
Like, I'll make you feel, and just being in the industry that I grew up in, and I'm watching guys that, you know, make you feel smaller than small.
Yeah.
But like, this was like a 12-year-old said this kind of stuff. Like, you know, it's a lot more psychological. It digs a lot deeper. It cuts. So, you know, yeah, I'm sure it doesn't help when they're spending hours and hours and hours blasting people away.
I know my kid is a better kid when he's unplugged. I know he is.
Well, yeah.
I know he is. Well, let's get back to being a better kid. So you graduate from college. See, that was a hard segue. See how hard that was? Man, we're drifting into some stuff we don't really have any business talking about. You're probably like, these guys aren't psychologists. What am I listening to this for? And now back to the success story. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. So you graduate from college. You go back to work at the dealership with dad?
No, my dad wouldn't hire me. I had to. Why
would dad not hire you?
No nepotism. You know, he had to earn it all himself. So I had to do it on my own. So I got my first job selling cars for an auto group in Detroit, and did okay. You know, didn't have the best leadership at that store, but I did meet a guy that started to take me under his wing in special finance, and I kind of really started thriving with, you know, alternative lending.
Yeah. Buy here, pay here. Is what you're looking at. Yeah, that's what we're going.
Not quite, but yeah, pretty bad. But I you know, was able to communicate to these people, get down to their level, and, you know, and really make people feel comfortable with the decisions that they were going to make. I was also really good at capturing cash.
Dude, you know what? I'm going to talk about that real quick, because that reminded me of something that I preach religiously in this business. The business that I'm in, of course, of real estate, which is so many people that do what I do, right? They're looking to disqualify people. You know, in this world of speed and efficiency, it's all about disqualify people.
Correct.
They're looking to disqualify people as quick as they can. And I teach all of the people that work for us. It's like, look, I don't care if somebody's qualified on the phone. I want to get them in here. Get them down. Get them down. I don't care if they're qualified, because here's the magic in it. If somebody's sitting in our office and we get them on the phone with a lender, and the lender says, yeah, they can't buy a house. They got to fix this, and this. It's going to take whatever. And when you look across, like, nobody goes to a meeting and is surprised their credit's fucked up.
Right.
Nobody's surprised.
No.
They know.
They know.
They're very aware. And they're literally just sitting there waiting for you to disrespect them, as they've been disrespected by everyone else.
Correct.
In financial situations. And they're waiting for you to slam the door to them and treat them like shit. And when you look across that table and you say, look, I don't care if it takes 6 months or 6 years. If you have a dream of owning a house, we're going to get you from where we are right now to getting this credit fixed to getting you where you want to be.
Right.
We're in this together. I'm here for you. And in that time, we're going to work together. But if you know anybody else that wants to buy a house, refer them to me. And that person will send you more people than the person you did a perfect job for and sold them a house.
Correct. Yeah, I think that one of them, and we'll probably circle back to this here when we start getting into, you know, current matters. Mm-hmm. But I think that it's short-sighted to only attract to super qualified leads, the cash down, whatever it is. It's very short-sighted for one. For two, what I've learned is the business people who value qualification, cash on hand, all of that, they become a certain level of success. But the person that values level of interest over all of it is the hyper successful. Mm-hmm. You know, and again, that is that, you know, obviously you don't want to waste your time. You want to prioritize your stuff, but you take somebody who knows how to qualify, knows how to, you know, get the deals done that can get done right away, but also still have strong follow-up, a really nice pipeline, whatever. And you're, you know, because a lot of times, and you know this, most of your contacts that you make day one, you're not even in our industry, the industry I'm in now, you may not even have anything come of that until day 90.
Yeah.
You know, day 120. But if you have the right tools, you utilize a CRM, you know, you have an email, you have all the stuff to continuously, because earlier we talked about frequency. And I think a lot of people, they don't understand the power of frequency. But the thing is, and this is way off, this is still on track, but a little bit off of the point I'm trying to make, is that most people can only afford frequency. Meaning that you have range or you have frequency, right? And unless you're Starbucks, Nike, Apple, you don't get range. Most people do not get range.
Too expensive.
It's too expensive. So instead, like, you can pick an audience or pick a group of individuals and hammer them over and over and over and over again, whether it is through follow-up, whether it is through email campaign, whatever it is. And I just found that, like, you know, really dialing into those individuals had started making me really successful right out of college, right? And then later on in life now, that's really bled into what I do nowadays.
When did you decide to move out of the automotive industry into kind of what you're doing now?
So I worked myself up, did pretty well at two dealerships, and then knocked up my girlfriend from college. And
like father, like son, baby.
Yeah, there we go. And it was a matter of like, okay, well, you know, I've really been proving myself in the auto industry, and I got up to being a finance manager. And I finally called my dad, like, hey, you know, knock this girl up, but I'm doing really well, but I'd really like an opportunity to work for you. He's like, yeah, it's fine. You're going to sell cars though first. And I'm like, fuck, okay, I'm back. Like, I worked my ass off to be like 22 years old, you know, 23 years old in a finance manager position. Like, I made it. Like, now I'm like close to 200 grand a year, you know? So he put me back into sales. I had to work my way into finance, you know, then to a finance director, then to a sales manager, so on and so forth. And worked my way all the way back up through the ranks at my dad's store. And I left a couple times and started to become really, really good at what I did, and helped a buddy with his Chevy store, you know, that was failing. We turned that one around, things like that, you know, so like certain things like started happening for me in the auto industry. And then I obviously eventually was able to have my own, you know, my own stores and things like that. So like I was,
so you got to owning your own dealership.
Not really ownership, but through family. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, full transparency. Yeah, it's all family business. You know what I mean? But, so that was kind of, you know, where I was at. And then all along I was pretty bad alcoholic, pretty bad drug addict, still managed my job, still managed my lifestyle.
High functioning.
Like very high functioning until it didn't get to that. And then I needed to get some help. So moved out to Huntington Beach.
What was the catalyst? I don't know if your mom telling us.
No, I don't give a fuck, man. I put everything out there. I had some relationship things happen, you know, and then I got into some trouble. I got a DUI, and then was kind of spiraling out of control, you know, from that. And the beginning of COVID was really tough on the auto industry, just tough on everything. You had a lot of time on your hands, so it just slipped away from me. Went through divorce, affair, you know, the whole thing. So it was just kind of a rough time. So I needed to get some help. Became pretty down, suicidal, you know, whatever. And I had never had that. Like I said, earlier I said, like, I had such a great childhood. I can't really put my finger on why I ended up the way that I did, but moved out to Huntington Beach just to do a 90-day treatment program. Really nice facility right on the beach. As a matter of fact, it's 3 houses down from my home now.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
I walk by it almost every single day, and beautiful home. Another one of the tall, skinny houses, and it was a really great treatment center that I went to. Really expensive. Went for my original thing was I was going to go for 90 days. At the time I was in a relationship that was rocky, but I was crazy about the person. We just had built a really beautiful home. And I was like, my goal in it was to go back and try to fix things with her and take back over, my seat in my dealerships, things like that. And I felt like the first 60 days of my treatment was wasted because I was doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that she ghosted me too, right? Because it was like, you need to do this for you. She ghosted me for the right reason. It wasn't because of anything else other than maybe she was hurt, because of where I had landed, but also because she needed to focus on herself and understand that I needed to focus on myself. So when she ghosted me, I was like, okay, I had to wake up. And that was the biggest favor that anyone could have ever done for me was her ghost, like her making that decision to ghost me, because then it was like, I'm alone out here. Right? I don't know anybody. I'm here with getting driven around in a piece of shit van. Like, I've grown up a nice lifestyle. This was very humbling.
Yeah.
Getting driven around, having a kid 10 years younger than me look at my dick while I'm pissing in a cup. Like, it was tough.
Yeah.
Very, very woke me up. But after 60 days, I was like, man, I need to start my program over. So I stayed for another 90 days. And that's when I really started to put my work in. Started going to a meeting in Newport right on 16th, and right there across from Lido House.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And started meeting guys, and they were all like me, like successful, and they just really I just really wanted that lifestyle. Like I've already had money. I've already done pretty well for, being 33 at the time, but I just wanted that clarity like they had, and I wanted that confidence like they had. So I put a ton of work in on myself. And after my 5-month program was up, I called my dad, I called my family, and I said, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, fuck, that's a blow. He raised me to take over the stores. I left $1 billion lottery ticket.
Yeah, here we are.
Back. Yeah. And I said, you know what, this is it. I'm done. I'm going to stay out here and just rebuild my life. And he was like, I support you. It's a blow, but we support you. We want you to be happy. Stay. So I did. Got out of rehab. And I was like, well, now what the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah. What year was this? This is 20.
This was 21. Yeah. Like, well, now what the fuck am I going to do? So I went in for a get well job, which was a finance director for an auto group, met the dealer, and he was like, yeah, you're not going to be a finance director. Made me variable ops director, vice president.
Okay.
So
nice.
Right away, I was like $1.5 million a year salary. I was like, this is fucking sweet. Like,
I'm back, baby.
I'm back.
I'm back.
But I started, and I was doing well. And I was like, but this is, this is just back to what I've always done.
Did you, I'm not to cut you off, but
No,
do you
you're
find, you brought up something I thought was interesting, and it's a mistake I think a lot of people make in life, which was, would you say that when you were in the automotive stuff up until the point where you decided you had to go to rehab, when looking back in your life, were you always kind of surrounded by people in the automotive industry? Did you put yourself in a bubble that way? And then when you got to California and got around, wow, here's some other people doing other things, it was kind of eye-opening for you?
It was.
Yeah. I think that people are so bubble driven. They're like, they want to put themselves in a group. I want to, I am this. I am a real estate people. It's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. A realtor will drop everything at the drop of a hat to go to an event with a bunch of other realtors that will never buy a house from that. Like, why? What do you do? Like, that's the last place you should go. Like, it's where they all go.
Right.
And I just have never understood it. And it's like, I find I purposely am always trying to seek people outside of what I do, because that's how you broaden your horizons, not just in business, but the way you think and the way ideas and everything else flows.
Right.
And I find that really interesting that was so true with your story.
Well, yeah, big thinkers, creative minds, living in Southern California, it was like, it was very eye-opening for me. I've been a musician, I've been an artist. Like I'm you know, it was really cool, like to start seeing people that were doing big things. And I had a good Instagram following. I had shut it down. I'd shut it down when I went through my divorce, and I'd left it for like a year and a half, and I had a decent following though, you know, nothing crazy like now, but like, you know, it was like when I turned it back on, I just started to like, you know, show more meal prep stuff again, started to like, you know, do some training stuff. Had a buddy that wanted to like film me in the gym and stuff, that was a barber of mine at the time, and in Huntington, you know, so it was like, you know, I started to just kind of do stuff. I didn't really think anything of it. Working, you know, auto industry in California is even crazier than Michigan. So working crazy hours, you know, and then I met a dude. I'm not going to say who it is, but I met a dude who was selling online coaching, teaching people how to coach. And I was like, you know what? I'd like to do this. I think I could do well at this, you know? And he promised the world, didn't deliver, but that's okay.
I can probably guess.
Yeah, no problem. Right. Yeah. So
probably guess who this is.
So we'll leave that alone.
Yep. We'll leave it alone.
But that's okay. You know, that's, you know, again, the track record kind of shows. But I, you know, again, it was getting my foot in the door. I don't regret spending the money. It wasn't even a lot of money. It was
sure
$7,500 or something. So, but originally, you know, his price point was he wanted us selling things for $250 a month. And I'm like, ain't no fucking way I'm going to be able to do this at the level that I want to and charge $250 a month. And my network has more money than that. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of my friends in the auto industry and stuff like that had seen me like get super jacked and seen me get sober and like seeing that I was living this great life. So I was like, I'm just going to go towards car dealers that want to get sober and guys that are high ups in the auto industry that want to get sober.
Cause I was going to say, man, I can't even imagine going from rehab back into the car biz.
It's tough.
That's end of month party, clinky glass, might as well be Mad Men shit going on still to this day over that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I started doing more high ticket stuff, knowing like, you know, that if I charge more, I'm going to get better people, and leveled that up very quickly. And then I started putting a ton of content out. And for me at that time, a ton of content is not even close to what today is for a ton of content.
Yeah.
But started putting a ton of content out, and eventually had a couple things hit hard. And there was one that was like crazy, umpteen million, you know, views on Facebook that I funneled into my Instagram. And then the next thing you know, I was like over 100 and some thousand followers on Instagram. And I was like, fucking right. Is that
just pull that a little closer.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
So that really set me up for success. You know, then it was like I had the authority, I had the credibility. I got cast in 2 movies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they should come out this summer. I don't know one of them, but the other one should come out this summer. Got flown out to Boston. I was like, you know, to do this one film, and a couple articles, podcasts, like things started happening for me, and I didn't even expect this. So I was able to walk away from the auto industry. I started doing, you know, at the time about 150 grand a month. Then it became like $250,000 a month. And then I had a couple months that I hit $500,000 in a month. And I was like,
okay, I'm onto something.
Yeah. I'm like, fucking A, like, this is really cool. So about a year in, I was like, and I'm not going to lie, I had hired a number of mentors after that to teach me other parts of the industry. The coaching part was easy, right? But it was like, you know, meta ads and, you know, content and branding and all of these different things. And I was like, you know,
you took the time to actually learn that, or because that for some of that stuff for me is a who, not the how. Like I'd rather find the who than the how.
Yeah. So I did. I paid for some. There was a lot of money that was spent on done for you services,
okay.
And in a lot of cases, I found that the done for you services would just send you inflated metrics. I have never had a done for you service that has brought what they promised ever once.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, you know what I mean?
No. I mean, you look, you know, I've talked about it here before, but like when this is 2022, maybe 2021, maybe when it was still a bitch to get verified on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it was like, there were services, there was a couple dude here in town that had done it for a couple guys I know. And, you know, there's a couple of guys in our circle that when they say this is a good dude, you just kind of go, okay, cool. That's a good dude.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the shit hits the fan quick.
Right.
With certain things. And like, you know, I think
to get my Instagram verified, I think I've spent probably 30 grand or some shit.
That's about right.
Yeah.
So I was able to, once I had Screen Actors Guild credentials and things like that.
Yeah.
But you know what fucking sucks is a month after I got mine, they opened it up.
Oh, yeah. See,
But I didn't have to pay
At least I got like 2 years of
some
clout.
right. But we'll be able to get Legacy when that comes out.
Okay, good. Because now it's like, ooh, he spends $9 a month. Not exactly that special. Right.
Yeah. No, it's they'll turn gold for Legacy.
Okay, good. Well, then I'll have a gold check mark and that'll be fancy again.
It's helpful.
Dude, I agree. I agree. And for me, it was like,
you know what else you have that is like very, very valuable?
What's that?
Your first and last name. No spaces, no underscores.
Oh, yeah, nothing. Yeah.
Same here.
That's it. You got it. Yeah. I mean, I have that. I got it. And here's a little lesson too. If you, I know it seems weird to do, but in the world we live in, it's important. When you're thinking about naming your kid, grab them.
Yeah.
I grabbed the Gmail. Literally, my kids were born. I grabbed the Gmails for them. I grabbed all their accounts. I grabbed everything for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have their names.
Yep.
On everything.
Yep. It's really valuable. As a matter of fact, it's funny. The kid who was at Justin Wenzel, no spaces, no anything. He has probably 5 or 6 DMs, one for 1,500, one for 2,500, one for $5,000, one for $6,000. and he never used the account. I sent him, yo, bro.
And if
you see this, I will literally Venmo you $6,000 right now.
Yeah.
For you to move your name. You're not even on your account anyways. Here's $6,000 right here. He didn't even fucking open it. So at Justin Wenzel, if you're watching this, bro, you fucking missed big.
Sucker.
Yeah. Not only did you lose a massive platform that could have been, well, probably not, but either way, so I paid one cat, my PR guy, paid him $1,500. He went in through our meta rep and was like, yo, this account isn't active. Like, can we cut him?
Yeah.
And they just changed her at a 1, or whatever. And then gave it to me.
Fix it.
But yeah, when it comes to personal branding like that, I think nowadays having your first and last name, no underscores, no dots or anything like that is more valuable than the check mark.
I agree. It's like, you look at do you know Travis Lubinski? Do you know him? Do you know Trav? Trav here a couple weeks ago, and it's like, dude, you got at Trav. Like, I'm sorry, that is
that's gangster.
That's gay, dude. What's your Instagram handle? At Trav.
Yeah, it's like, gangster.
Come on, man.
For sure.
Come on, man. Probably the most gangster one is Charlie with the Dream Factory is his deal. Just at Charlie.
Yeah.
That's just, yeah. Okay.
It's super gangster. But anyways, yeah. So I, again, like I said, I had no luck with any of like the real done for you services, but I did have a lot of luck, and I'll give him a shout out right now with Justin Saunders from Authority Income Accelerator. And he started teaching me how to run targeted DM ads. And then I just kind of took my talent maybe for writing copy.
Mm-hmm.
And I write some fucking badass copy.
Who's your hero there? Who do you study
for copy?
Frank Kern.
Yeah, I love Kern. But I know honestly, man, I'm just like, I free flow.
Do you?
Yeah.
But you didn't teach yourself. You went with it.
Yeah. I started like coming up with stuff. I've always written really persuasive, like essays, things like that. So, and I'm, being in the level of finance, like I went away to like do some like finance training and sales training to where I'm really good at logic trap and, and stuff like that. So like my copies are, and all my ads, dude, I'll tell you what my ROAS is on one of my copies and you won't even believe me.
Okay, give it
32x.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep, I know. 32x, and
that's one of the high. That's the only one I've ever heard higher in this room was the guys from V-Shred.
Oh, I can imagine.
Came out had the first one that hit for them hit 125x.
Well, that's insane. Yeah. So 30,
after a lot of failure, after a shit ton of failure.
And I'll tell you that's as high as it's been.
Yeah.
But it held there for like 2 weeks last month. But I'll tell you this, I've been running that same exact copy, that same creative, for about 11 months now to one single target.
And it's still holding.
And it still holds around 16x to 32x.
Yeah, that's really good.
I've even recreated the ad and it doesn't perform. compared to
it's just this one little
something about
Isn't that funny, man? How you just sometimes you just catch that one little lightning bug.
Yeah.
And one word either way in a different sequence or out there.
It's insane. But anyways, yeah. So that was one valuable one. But that was where I was really inspired, was because he wasn't a done for you service. He was educational platform with a really solid curriculum and a really great formula. And I was like, well, shit, like this is really where it's at.
Yeah.
Is like, but he was all module based for the most part. He had coaching calls and things like that, but there was really no one-on-one. You got a couple, but like, it wasn't like super invested.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, if I ran like one really high ticket offer and got super invested, built it all like ecosystem, like I had built my community for the clients that I was coaching, I was like, this could be insane. So I called up one of my best friends in the world that I grew up with. And I was like, yo, this is a vision I have, but I want you to be my test subject. It's going to cost you a little bit of money, but he owned a custom homes construction company at the time. And I was like, I want to, I was like, you ever thought about online coaching? He's like, yeah, bro, I see what you're doing. Like, you're crushing it. Like, how do I do this? So I was like, all right, well, send me 10 grand. I'm going to show you how to do it. He's like, all right, cool. So he did. And thank God, because within 7 months, he literally dissolved his construction company.
Good for him.
Yeah. And then we started teaching people, just case by case.
I'm going to stop you for 1 second because I want you to say it, because I know the answer, but I want you to say it. Why did you make him send you 10 grand?
Because he had to be invested.
That's the answer. Yeah. I love when people that hate on the coaching and education space say, why does somebody that makes all this money need to charge people? They don't need to say, if they were so good at what they're teaching, they would sell education. It's because they understand if people are not,
they won't fucking do it.
No, but you put us a value on things based on the cost. Stuff that's free is shit. It's just how it is. I mean,
right.
If you charge somebody $10,000 for a cookie and they're going to eat it, they're going to say it's the best fucking cookie they've ever had.
Yeah.
I can hand you the best cookie in the world on the side of a subway platform in New York, and you'll fucking throw it in the trash before you even taste it.
Right. Why do I have that backpack? Why do you have that watch? Why? Like, why? You know what I mean? Because it costs a lot of money and we value it, and that's why.
Yeah. Or as Bradley likes to say, I have this watch not to tell me what time it is. I work to tell you what time it is.
I told him that. I said last night at dinner with him, I was like, I love that one, but I was like, I have a white gold diamond Spirit, and I go, this one is the Rolex may tell me what time it is, but this one tells you, fuck you, pay me. And he was like, that's fucking good, bro.
That's it.
But no, and I love my Rolexes too. But either way, but yeah, so that's really where it started happening. And then I was like, take two Midwest boys with construction work ethic and car business work ethic. We have the automation. We have all the tools, all the curriculums, all the modules. We have all that stuff too. But imagine if you had mentors that actually showed up day in, day out for their coaches, clients, and things like that.
And didn't call you a little bitch on a coaching call.
Stop. No, and respected you and treated you like a human being. And then the last part was didn't chase retention. And this may be where you were, where it was like, huh? No, once you're in, you can take advantage of everything for life.
Yeah, get it.
And there, everyone was like, that's not fucking scalable. Well, here we are. The most sought after, like, we turn more business down because we don't chase retention. We don't have to. We don't dilute our community. We only bring in the people that we want to. We only work with the people that we want to work with.
Do you think that's the biggest problem in the coach? What's the biggest problem in the coaching industry right now? What is the biggest problem?
Well, there's no barrier to entry, right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. There's like this imagery of coaching that it's saturated. And I hate the word saturated. That's like my least favorite word in the world. Unless you put it this way. Online fitness coaching is saturated with clients. Everybody's fat. Everybody's fucking fat. So if you need a client, walk into an area where there's more than 5 people and spin in a circle with your eyes closed and stop, and you're going to land on a client. Okay. They're everywhere. Mm-hmm. But by that logic, pizza places are saturated, barbershops, car dealerships, everything's fucking saturated. So what do you need to do? You need to find the person that's doing it well or doing it the best, figure out what they're doing, and then do it better and work harder. Otherwise, yeah, it's not saturated. It's competitive, and you happen to suck.
Yeah. It's right now I'm in the middle of this thing because, I've been in real estate for 18 years, doing this a long time. And, for the last, I don't know, maybe call it 4 years, I just been focusing at a very high level on all of our companies. I mean, we own a lot of different brands. We own a lot of different companies in the real estate space. And somebody asked me when I was in Newport, if you go back to see the video, I'm sitting in my house in Newport Beach one, I say this, but one of my buddies down there asked me, they said, because we're talking about the price of houses in Vegas has just gotten crazy, right? Like if you would have told me 12 years ago, we'd have $20 million houses here. I told you you're out of your fucking mind. Like you're just out of your mind. But we do, right? We do now. And so we were talking about just how expensive the houses have gotten. And somebody said to me, they said, how long would it take you to spin back up selling luxury homes? I'm like, I could do it in 90 days. Like, I'll bet you 10 grand. I'm like, all right, let's go. So literally, if you see my Instagram right now, it's like this 90 days of luxury thing. That's what it is.
Awesome.
I'm going to I'm spinning this brand, Luxury Homes of Henderson, back up that I plan to be able to just get in and then exit the brand at some point out of it. But yeah, we'll have it up and we'll be screaming along because again, like you just said, the reason I mentioned that is because so many real estate's not saturated. Right. And there's a million people, like you could walk out and throw a football in any direction and hit a realtor in the back of the head. Right. But there's very few people that do it really, really high level and do it well. Correct. Luckily, I'm surrounded by a lot of them at our company here. We have.
Well, there is a barrier to entry in real estate.
Yeah. Well, this is like my company here. I'm the only brokerage in Vegas that I know of that fires people for non-production.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you're a zero, I mean, no offense, if you just want to carry a business card to tell people you sell real estate as something to tell people at cocktail parties, there's a lot of places you can work. This is not one of them. Yeah, we sell homes.
Yeah, you want. Yeah,
I think I looked at the metrics yesterday. 1 out of every 18 homes that gets sold in all of Las Vegas is sold by this company.
Wow.
So I'm pretty proud about that.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
That's great. Yeah, pat myself on the back a little bit. But anyway,
awesome.
Back to you. That's enough about me today.
That's awesome.
I celebrate myself all day.
I don't need to do it, bro.
I don't need to do it while you're here. I don't need to do it while you're here. God,
well, yeah, but I mean, I'm just getting to know you too, so this is great.
That's why I have mirrors in my house, so I can look and just tell myself how great I am.
Yeah,
well, I'm just kidding. I do that.
Never seen a mirror I didn't like, though, right?
No, didn't do it. So people think it's saturated. That's a problem.
Yeah,
and I think that. Do you think? All right, now I got to ask you this question because it's out there, and yes. I find I'm gonna preface this with saying my opinion on it sometimes falls somewhere in the middle of this. You have like the accounts out there on Instagram that are out for, exposing the flexors or whatever they say they are.
Oh, yeah, like baller busters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
they say that. I fall somewhere in the middle of it. Some of this stuff I think is probably, if there's people that are running strictly on hype, I 100% think they should get smoked. I agree with that. But I think what that also does is it gives people this wrong impression that everybody out there is like this.
Right.
That everybody's
that sucks. That and I didn't mean to cut you off, but before I lost my thought, you know that scene in 8 Mile where Eminem just like he basically like undresses himself before and like just self-deprecates.
What are you gonna say now?
What are you gonna say now?
Yeah.
That was what I did. That was the method that I went with.
Did they say something to you?
No.
Oh, just in general.
No, just in general. I was like, you know what? At some point, people are going to like look at my lifestyle and stuff like that and start talking shit. So I'm going to start just putting it all out there. Talk about my addiction, talk about the shit I've been through, talk about everything, show my home, show my cars, show my stuff, but I live within my means. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I don't try to pretend like anything. If I'm not, I don't fly private, JSX at best, but I always fly first class because I can't fit in the back of the planes, but I don't pretend like I'm anything I'm not. And I'm like, you know what? Because there is a lot of people out there. There is a lot of scam. There is a lot of that stuff, but I found that we've maintained such a good reputation and we've just been overly, we put out our real lives every single day and we don't really sugarcoat anything.
How do you handle, because I mean, look, if you look at any business and it's all 5-star reviews, those 5-star reviews are bullshit.
Right.
If you look at a business, they got a lot of 5-star reviews and then there's that 1 or 2 or 3 1-star reviews.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those? Because I'll tell you how I deal with it. I was curious how you deal with it.
Vary it with more good stuff, but
well, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Do you make an effort to get to with those 1 stars and kind of see what happened, make it up to that?
Yeah.
Like, what do you?
Yeah. In this industry, that in with us, any time we've had a bad experience, it's like, we film everything that we do. We provide, we do show up, we deliver all of our stuff, and we put ourselves in a really good situation to where it's like, if you didn't succeed, it's because you didn't do the work.
Yeah. Because, in the victim mentality, there is some of that with the victim mentality.
Correct.
Well, they told me I was going to make $1 million. Like, you were just going to sit on the couch and eat Fritos, and that was going to be the extent of your input to this.
Correct. And as a matter of fact, I did have to deal with one, and I don't want to dive too far into this, but I had to deal with one situation that got to a level of an AG situation, and now I have a friend that's an attorney general in another state here close by that calls me by my first name and absolutely loves me because I showed up with a 16-page report and several videos and everything that literally showed me doing every single thing that it was he said, she said. But I was like, no, I film everything that I do. Yeah. Being in the auto industry and in finance, we have a camera over our shoulder and a camera on the person's hand when they're signing. So I decided,
took that same mentality.
I took the same mentality.
I love that.
I'm going to be bulletproof.
I love that. Yeah, with us, man, like nothing just hurts me to my core when I see that 1-star review go up somewhere.
Well, yeah, because you care.
Well,
and that's exactly what the AG said to me. They were like, we actually see how much you care because of how much you put into this.
Yeah. What's harder for me though is like you're defending you. Like I got it. Like if somebody goes, oh, I work with a Simply Vegas person, it was terrible, don't use this company. Well, see, I don't have employees here. I have 550 independent contractors that are choosing to run their business under our flag. Yeah. So I'm defending all 550 of those businesses. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's rough.
So I'm like, shit, because that one, bad review that's got nothing to do about nothing affects everybody if they look it up. So I immediately, get on the phone and dude, I will spend an hour and a half on the phone. I'll go to somebody's house. I will do whatever I got to do to get that 1-star off.
Right.
I will, and if I can't get it off, I at least say, can you please be very specific about who the agent was, like what happened exactly? Like let's if this is really, because dude, people do screw up, man. Nobody's perfect, right? We've had some situations. We do 4,000 plus deals a year here. We're gonna have some missteps. It's just what it is. But I want to make sure that blame is laid exactly where it needs to be in a very finite way and not wide open.
Right. Yeah, you want to correct it. That's for sure.
So people looking for success, Mr. Coach. What are the biggest mistakes people make right now? What do you see, man? Like, what is the number one thing you got to get people overcoming?
So I really think, obviously there's like fear of getting on the camera. Like,
which is so stupid.
It's so dumb. First things first, like you have this and you're comfortable doing this. Like in general, typically, people will do stuff, but when it happens to be on topic, they freeze up, they overthink, they fall. Okay. First of all, if you're just getting started and nobody's watching your shit anyway, so like if you fuck up, it doesn't matter. Yeah. But yeah, it's really is that. And then the biggest thing is these people that don't make it, they're delusional about their work ethic. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah. They think they're working hard.
I tell people a lot. I'm like, if people that tell me that, I'm like, run a stopwatch on your day. Yeah. When you're actually prospecting, you're actually physically doing something that's going to lead to a transaction or lead to more business. Track that. Because I think you're going to find, especially when you come to the office, right? In real estate company. Oh, I'm just going to grab a coffee. Oh, there's a class I'm going to go sit in. Oh, I'm going to do this. And like most places are just hives of inactivity. Right. Or nonsense.
Yeah. So they mask that, or they decorate it as they are.
I'm working.
No, you're not. No, it's not working at all. And if you were actually working, you would have the one thing that would be a show for that, and that's results.
Do you find it's a huge hump? Because you mentioned something when you say KPIs. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's a key performance indicator. It's the activities that actually lead to money. Mm-hmm. Do you find that getting people that have never tried KPIs to track KPIs to be a giant hill to climb over?
Yeah. Sometimes I don't even know why I even say it. There's like acronyms out there that I'm like, they don't even need to exist because nobody gives a fuck anyways. But it's especially when you're like, when it comes to advertising and tracking KPIs, it's like these people are just going to boost a post for $150. Okay. So you're just going to throw $150 into the ocean and hope that it lands in a fishing net
and does something.
And that person comes back to you with that money. Like, but yeah, I think it's sometimes a lost cause, but again, I need to just show up and do my job. And the people cause we talked about this before we got started was, you can talk to 100 people, 5 of them are going to actually do it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you hold back. And you got to keep a very open and abundant mindset for people. And if you're a good leader, you want to see everybody succeed. But the reality is most people are going to take it for granted. Most people are going to get distracted, cave for instant gratification, and do anything but actually just do the fucking work.
I have a question for you because you just said something I thought was interesting because this is one of my biggest struggles, right? And I'll tell you how I want to hear what you would do, and I'm going to tell you how I do it now because I recently shifted this, and it's been very successful for me. But how do you so let's say you're coaching somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And you've coached them, and then you just see that they're just not doing what they're supposed to do. They're just not doing it. Like, especially in a group setting when there's, like you just said, there's 105 of them are doing well, 95 are not doing. How do you handle the 95? Do you just continue to just pour it into them and or what do you do?
Well, yeah, it's tough when you're very invested into the person, and it's easy at first to become invested into somebody, especially like you share similarities and things like that. Okay. For me to work with the person, I have to like them, or my team has to accept them. Okay. So it's not just going to be anybody and everybody. So I try to really believe in every single person. Ridiculing, belittling, criticizing, condemning, that shit doesn't work. Okay. We know that, it's not the way to win friends and influence people, right?
That wasn't on page 47 of that. Come on, Dale Carnegie. Come on, what's going on?
Yeah, chapter 2. Or chapter 1 actually. It's not gonna work. It just doesn't, right? So I've really tried hard with doing more of a rewarding style. One thing that we do, typically like every other Tuesday night is our big call. That's usually in front of like 150 people on Zoom. I'll do different marketing, different advertising contests where I'll give away money.
Love that.
Usually I'll give away like $1,500 to $2,500 cash, and they're going to put it in their ad spend, things like that. I'll be like, let's see who writes the best copy, the best creative.
Yeah.
And I tell this story all the time because it's so applicable to this and probably to what you deal with on a case-to-case situation. But, General Motors, they used to weigh in, they still do weigh in really heavy on the OnStar button, right? The little blue button.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. And back in the day, they wanted their salespeople to go sit in the passenger seat when they're delivering their vehicle to their customer and have them push the OnStar button. And nobody did it. No salesman did it. It's like, that's all you have to do. Like, these people are feeding your families. And all you have to do is
just push the button.
Push the button.
Push the button.
That's it. But they wouldn't do it. So General Motors, Chevy specifically, got pretty in bed with Disney. And Disney has a program called Paid for Behavior, where they pay you to do your job, for behaviors that they want you to start to do. So GM said, here's the deal. You hit a certain number of buttons pushed, we're going to pay you $50 retro back to the first per button pushed. So
everybody's pushing the button.
No one did.
What?
They didn't do it.
What?
They didn't do it. The campaign failed miserably.
Really?
But here's the thing. So then dealers were like, okay, fuck this.
Dude, I'll push a button for $5 right now.
Well,
Show me the fucking button. Right.
Right. It takes 20 seconds, but they didn't do it.
That's so
across
weird.
the country.
So what was
the thing failed.
I'm dying to hear how this science experiment, why this failed.
So dealers were like, okay, fuckers, you don't push the button, we're going to pull $50 out of your check. Or it might, some cases it might have been more.
So now you go from, do you run faster from pain than you do towards pleasure?
Correct.
Okay. So now everybody's pushing buttons.
Now everybody's pushing the buttons. So I learned this, that we did a thing called marketing bingo. And I thought it was brilliant. was like, do a collab with a local business, you know, run a live once a week. And like, they literally they all had bingo cards, and it was like all things that will bring your business up. And if you hit an X, cause you have the X in our name, then you got $1,500.
I like it.
If you clear the board, you get $2,500.
A coverall, as we call it.
A coverall.
As we call it in bingo here in Las Vegas.
Okay.
The coverall.
The coverall. If you do a coverall.
I hate bingo. My wife loves it. I hate it.
I'm not a bingo guy either, but it was cool. You know, it was a cool concept. One of my marketing guys came up with, and I really liked it. And I was like, man, this is going to slap. Like this is stuff they should be doing anyways. And we're going to pay them to do it. And understand, like, they paid me to mentor them, and I'm paying them just to better their businesses.
Yeah.
6 people did it out of 280.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, like, you know, you want it for people so bad. You do. Like, I want every single one of them to win.
This is what I started doing, right? I always did one part of this, and I just added the second part. So the first part is, when everybody comes to work for me, I always tell them that you're going to get exactly out of me what you put in. Mm-hmm. I will match you energy. I will match you investment. The good news is all of that winds up on your side of the table. You get all of it, right? So I will match you point for point. And then inevitably, hopefully very soon it happens. Hopefully very quick it happens in the relationship. Doesn't happen 8 months down the road. It happens in like the first, hopefully, week or 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Where they fall on something. They don't get something done. Case in point, I had somebody that just came to work for me. I asked them to watch 2 hours of my training videos in the training portal. 2 hours. I asked them to do this on a Tuesday. On Friday, I came in. I said, hey, have you watched everything? Because I said, you need to watch this, because then we'll be speaking the same language, and now I can help you. And this person said, well, I got like 2 more left. 2 hours from Tuesday to Friday. So I sat the person down and I said, listen, this is the second part of the equation. I said, listen, I put such a high value on my time. My time is incredibly valuable to me. Not because I make so much money with my time, just because I've only got my kids till they're 18, right? I've got 2 more years of my son. I got 4 more years of my daughter, and then they're off to college, and I won't spend more time with them. So I'm very cognizant of every second I spend. Mm-hmm. So if you're not going to give me the respect of investing your time when I'm investing my time equally, this is not going to work. And immediately it is this whole, you could just see them just fall into the floor. And it wasn't, I didn't call them a name. I didn't call them lazy. I didn't tell them they should have got it done. I didn't tell them anything. It was just, this is where I value my time. I'm giving it to you. And if you're not going to match me, I'm not going to give it to you. And dude, instantaneous turnaround.
Really?
Oh, dude, instantaneous.
But was that, how long ago was this?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So I'm always curious as to, like, after.
No, because again, I think it just sets the precedent. I think if everybody you're involved with in a mentor, mentee, coachee situation, if you just literally come out of the box, man, stressing how valuable your time is to you, because it's so finite, right?
Right.
We could be done. We could walk out of this podcast and get in my fucking Sprinter van and get, carbon monoxide poisoning. I don't know what Mercedes does.
Right.
It's a diesel. I don't know.
God, I hope not.
Who knows? But but who knows what happens? But the point being is, it's finite. And I think if you break it down to people that just how much you value your time.
Yeah.
It's not about dollars. It's not about, I told you to do something, you didn't do it. It's just about, man, if we're not really going to do this together, then I need to spend my time better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that. But dude, this has been a great chat, man. It's awesome. If people want to find you, how do they find you? Because there's a shit ton of other people have found you.
Well, yeah. So just add Justin Wenzel on Instagram's fine. jwxinc.com works as well. And then justinwenzelfitness.com if you want to get lined up as a client of mine.
Yeah.
As a client on a coaching
standpoint. Yeah, if you want to get fit, you go that route.
Yeah, fit, sober, in the best mental health of your life. The number, obviously YouTube, all of it. You can find me anywhere. It's always just Justin Wenzel.
I love that. Well, brother, I appreciate you stopping in on Saturday, coming to see us, which was lovely. And man, if you're listening to this thing again, you got to stop drifting along with those currents of life, man. You got to start swimming against the currents, because nobody's coming to help you. Nobody's coming to save you. Except for maybe Justin. All right. We'll see you next week.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Escaping the Drift. Hope you got a bunch out of it, or at least as much as I did out of it. Anyway, if you want to learn more about the show, you can always go over to escapingthedrift.com. You can join our mailing list. But do me a favor, if you wouldn't mind, throw up that 5-star review, give us a share, do something, man. We're here for you. Hopefully you'll be here for us. But anyway, in the meantime, we will see you at the next episode.